U.S. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas and Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont were the big winners in the Wisconsin primary Tuesday. Both men easily beat the front runners in their respective parties. Cruz won more than 48% of the vote in the Republican primary. Donald Trump was a distant second with just 35%. Ohio Governor John Kasich finishing far behind with only 14% of the vote. More importantly, Cruz narrowed the delegate gap with Trump by at least 30 delegates. Wisconsin has a total of 42 delegates, and so far, Cruz has won 33, Trump 3 of them. Now, on the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders got nearly 57% of the vote. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton receiving 43%. It is Sanders' 6th win in a row. Now, despite the big victory, Sanders only narrowed the gap with Clinton by about 14 delegates. Regardless, both winners last night expressed confidence that they will win their party's nominations.
Tonight is a turning point. It is a rallying cry. It is a call from the hardworking men and women of Wisconsin to the people of America. We have a choice, a real choice.
And if working people and middle-class people and senior citizens and young people begin to stand up, fight back, and come out and vote in large numbers, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish.
Yes, a huge turnout by young voters always helps Bernie Sanders. But let's talk about the Republican side first. So, how do you see this now playing out?
Well, this was a critical win for Ted Cruz. Had Trump won here last night, I think his path to the nomination would have been much, much easier. But now it's very much a live race, and things will shift to the Northeast. That's some favorable ground for Trump, but Cruz certainly feels the wind at his back right now.
Though, are you still seeing, though, a contested convention coming up? Or will Trump find a way to get the required number of delegates?
I think at this point, a contested convention is the most likely scenario. Okay. It's going to be very hard for Trump to get an outright majority of delegates. It's going to be virtually impossible for anybody else to get an outright majority of delegates. So contested conventions looking more and more likely. All
right, and real quick, to wrap up with the Republicans, a contested, would you care to make any predictions then who'd come out of that convention with the nomination? You know, there's Trump, there's Cruz, Kasich obviously still thinks he could have a chance, and then you have people talking about, well, maybe House Speaker Paul Ryan is the nominee.
If we go into a contested convention, unless Donald Trump is very close, that is, unless he just falls short of the majority threshold, I think his odds of getting the nomination in such a convention are very low. Right. Because most of the delegates don't really like Donald Trump. They don't want him as the Republican nominee. Now, once you get to that stage, all bets are off. It doesn't have to be someone who's actually running. And so the politics on the convention floor will be just absolutely fascinating.
And you do hear the Ted Cruz people especially talking about rounding up, what is it, uncommitted delegates? I mean, they're laying the groundwork. They think maybe they can slip in, at the convention.
Absolutely. Over the years, we've kind of lost sight of the fact that the delegates are actual decision makers. They're not just automatons who transmit the vote from the primaries. They do that on the first ballot. But then after that, there really is kind of persuasion, politicking to try to win them over to someone's cause. We haven't seen it in a while, but we're going to see it play out again this time.
Boy, what a gathering. Okay, real quick on the Democratic side. Nice win for Bernie Sanders. The next primary, I think, coming up, April 19th in New York. I mean, that's absolutely must win for Hillary.
It absolutely is. It's also, I would say, must win for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
In the sense that if he doesn't break through in New York, then he's made a nice run. He's scored some interesting made some interesting points on the campaign trail, but he's not going to be the nominee. If he actually could break through and win in New York, that would be a powerful narrative. And then you would start to have some of the superdelegates and others reconsider the Clinton candidacy.
And sometimes I do wonder why Senator Sanders doesn't say, well, folks, we got to remember that there is this legal cloud hanging over Hillary Clinton. We don't know if the FBI is going to indict her for this whole email situation. It seems like Sanders stays away, though, from what could be an earthquake in the Democratic primary.
It's funny, some of Sanders' supporters have actually criticized him for not having gone after Hillary Clinton hard enough early enough. They're looking back in retrospect and thinking he could have won more delegates earlier if he'd been more aggressive. But it's a fine line to walk. One of the things people like about Bernie Sanders is that he's not so angry in terms of other candidates. He's not such a combative politician. So he has to try to maintain that character aspect as well.
Boy, stay tuned. There is so much to be decided. Matthew Wilson, thank you so much for
Thanks
coming
for
in.
having me.